living in City Beach, so driving 15 minutes to Subi, about 25 to Laflane. It's not the worst thing ever. It's all right. It's just with the hosties. As an 18-year-old, it was so daunting. Draft night, having to pack my bag straight away, and I was moving across the country 2 days later, moving in with a family I didn't know. Everything sort of was scary, but yeah, wouldn't change it for the world now. Love my hosties and love living over here, so it's a good lifestyle. Yeah, I'm about to move out of the hosties, unfortunately, to move in with Patrick Bynes and Jared Brander. So I'm very excited for that. It'll be interesting to see how if the house is still standing after a few weeks, and if not, I might have to move back to the hosties. Yeah, obviously with Lecker retiring, there was obviously that spot opening up. Yeah, I didn't think I'd grab it straight away. Worked hard in the off season when I went home, and I think I had a good pre-season. But yeah, definitely didn't expect to have played this many in a row so far, and yeah, it's exciting. You always feel shocking after a loss, but obviously kicking a few goals and being lucky enough to get the award I got, but yeah, it just doesn't feel right in a loss, so yeah, it wasn't the best feeling. As great as it was winning the award and getting that individual recognition, I think it's important that we sort of get back on track now, string together a few good performances and get the confidence back. Well, I don't think we've lost confidence, but I think it's important that we get a few good wins on the board now and get our season rolling.
They're always a challenge, and yeah, I think playing the Premier from last year is kind of as good as it gets in terms of trying to work out where we are.
The first Premiership player has fallen, with the West Coast Eagles axing grand final hero Nathan Vardy for Sunday's blockbuster with Geelong. And the news is bad for star defender Tom Barrass, who may be sidelined until round 15 following foot surgery.
Yeah, in terms of backing up players in, we always back them in. Getting the mix right is important for us, but it was so disappointing last week, so we've got a few things we need to work on.
I think they've got a lot of experienced players. Geelong have been playing for several years, and their backline's been so good, and that's always why it's hard to score against them. And obviously the names in the midfield, Kelly, Dangerfield, Selwood, Duncan, all those guys are experienced campaigners, and for a team to beat them, you need to be on and you need to play for 4 quarters.
Beat them in the midfield and make sure that particularly Gaff and Elliott and Shuey don't have good days. Stop their defenders intercepting all day and making it hard for us to score. Make sure their small forwards don't have an influence, but be careful that you don't prioritise them over Kennedy, Darling and Allen. We'll just do all that stuff and we'll win.
Hawkins went it to perfection, runs in open goal, spears it through. Cats in front.
Myers tried to step through, he did more than try, he kept on going, Brian Myers, it deserved to finish just like that.
Well, the Cats are absolutely belting them on the inside, and the game is living in chaos, it's living in contested possession battle. It's not an uncontested mark game, which suits the West Coast Eagles. Problem is they've only had 14 inside 50s in 40 minutes of football.
They're starving up there, Kingy. Darling, Kennedy, not enough opportunity.
They've had almost 40 opportunities to bring the ball out the back half, and they have not scored once.
They have been demolished, the West Coast.
One of those nights for 2 weeks. Yeah, we can't play our way if we can't win the ball. Unfortunately, we were outplayed again around the contest, and very hard to identify what style we're playing at the moment if we can't win the footy. There is a lot of work to do, so I'm not going to sugarcoat anything.
Oh, it was a really tough day. Yeah, we're all hurting a lot at the moment, and we're trying, we're putting the effort in, but it probably doesn't look like that at the moment. And we're doing a few things right, but there's a lot of things that we're struggling with, and we need to fix pretty quickly, because we're 3-3. Hasn't been the greatest start for the year, but it could be a lot worse. And looking forward to hopefully getting back on the horse next week.
Let's have a little chat about the West Coast Eagles, Watto, for a moment. 2 really bad weeks, 58-point loss on the weekend.
West Coast has been dealt a second straight heavy loss, suffering a 58-point thrashing at the hands of Geelong.
The West Coast Eagles have tumbled down the AFL ladder after Geelong beat them by 58 points today.
Obviously, last year we were going from the Hunters, now we're the Hunted, so it's certainly one of those things where we've got to try and take in our stride, but we also got to play consistent football at the same time.
It wasn't ideal, I guess, how we played, and the talks internally were just about us, really, about how we were going about things. Results weren't ideal, but it was more about the way we were playing. So, coming into the Gold Coast game, we really just wanted to focus on a real contested type of game. There's a few challenges thrown out to a few different players, and it was good. The vibe wasn't, oh geez, we're going terribly. It was just in the middle. We had stuff to work on.
The best thing about football is it's week to week. So you have a bad game, you have a good game, whatever it is, you can always follow up the next week. So we've had 2 bad games, but we've got a good chance to, I suppose, rectify that, and we've got a big challenge coming up against Gold Coast.
Well, the pressure, in particular in early parts of the year and in early parts of the game, is elite. So they're having a real go. So if we're not on our toes, we'll get whacked again.
And one late change with Tom Hickey out due to a minor hamstring injury, replaced by Nathan Vardy, who was dropped last week and has a big job tonight.
Super flat not to get up, mate. 6-day break doesn't help, but gave it every chance. Just want to be a part of turning the tide after a couple of subpar performances, and want to be there to help the boys get across the line, but I'm sure Vaz will come in and do a really good job.
So just think about what you've done in the past, think about what you need to do now, think about the process, and play your best.
It was just a little short, through the legs, Ryan found it, and he produces some magic. Darling doing the ruck work and going all the way. Jack Darling with a bit of individual brilliance.
Yeah, it was good to find a little bit of form. I showed much better intent, and for me as a player, when I show that intent, I usually play a good game. So that'll be my focus for the rest of the year.
They look desperate, don't they, Jace? They just look a bit more like we know West Coast have been the last few seasons, a bit more hungry.
Well, the Eagles get the win. They were desperately searching for.
I will take the win. I think you got to take the win. So I think we've had an improvement. Over the last 2 weeks we've been really disappointing.
It's all about mindset. You can do as much training throughout the week on tackling that, or you can do as little. It's all about between the years. The big game next week against St Kilda at Marvel Stadium, the first of the year playing there, so really looking forward to the challenge again.
Really proud. So wins are hard. We're 4-3. All right, we've got the Saints this week. Another step forward. Okay, another opportunity to win a game. Okay, so we take a lot from tonight, especially the conditions.
We know that we're not far away from playing our best footy, and hopefully, starts this week against the Saints. Understand it's a big game again, because every game in AFL footy these days is a tough challenge.
It's one of those years where you need to be close to your best to get a win on the weekend. So getting a win against Gold Coast was pretty big for us, coming off a couple of losses. It's such an even competition now that you need to be close to your best to beat any side. So what we were able to do in the midfield, I thought a lot of our guys stepped up in there and really set the scene for us.
We thought we had some really good patches last week, in particular in the first half. We thought our contests and ability to stick ahead over the footy was pretty good all day. We let them back into it in the second half, so there's some things to work on there. So the most important thing is we won the ball, we tackled well, we were up for the contest, so that's our start point again this week.
Both clubs on 4 and 3. West Coast, though, have been so inconsistent this year.
We can control the game in so many areas. You've got to do the little things. Some of them are instinctive, some of them you don't even know you're doing, and some of them you really need to think about. All the little things that you do to make us great is critical. Don't neglect the little things. Let's set the tone for what we want to do at the first bounce today.
Obviously a really experienced group, the reigning premiers. They know what to do, but playing here at Marvel Stadium throws up different challenges, and maybe the Saints will just throw something a little bit different at them tonight.
Come to Melbourne and beat the Saints on their home track's not going to be easy. Here is Venables with a snap, and that's good. Oscar Allen, good start, West Coast. That's what you want to see from your big boys forward of the ball. Ryan steps forward and then vertically extends
probably our best four-quarter effort for the year so far, so it's really pleasing to come over, get a win on the road and go back happy.
Saints are playing a really good system at the moment, and you've got to be at your best to break it down. The numbers, the supply, the shots at goal, all the things pointed towards a good win.
Myself, Andrew Gaff, Jack Darling, Liam Ryan and Elliot Yeo were coming back from breakfast. All of a sudden, a huge creak, and it just stopped. So there was definitely some nervous moments. So it took us about 45 minutes to get out in the end. So we ended up just sitting down, listening to music, playing some cards. Luckily, we'd just been for brekkie and had some cards with us. But yeah, it's a pretty scary situation.
Once it started to get 35, 45 minutes, you kind of want to take a break. And when there's one or two people, but when there's 4 or 5, it starts to get it was getting hot in there. And I think Jamie Cripps tried to pass us through a couple of slices of cheese, which was pretty good of him.
Well, for me, celebrating is a lot of things, especially being Indigenous. Not so much all the other stuff. It's just when I grew up watching Indigenous players, that inspired me. They was role models without even them noticing about it, and the impact they have in the community as well. And that's why I celebrate it these days. Very, very big, and some of the team match as well.
Yeah, well, right in the heart are the 3 circles. And the 3 circles represent the supporters, staff, and the players in the middle, so it's concentric circles of support.
You always look forward to Friday night games or just playing on the weekends. Every time I get a chance to go on the field or grab a football, I always get excited.
Yep, he's back, so he'll play managed minutes, but he almost ready last week, so we instead of playing for Waffle Eagles last week, we trained him up and he's available this week, so he'll play.
So the West Coast Eagles tonight celebrating their Dreaming and Indigenous recognition game in front of their home crowd. Won't get the opportunity to do that next weekend.
It's a late change tonight, so Hickey comes in for Schofield.
Yeah, obviously disappointing not to play. Gave it right up to the last minute and just wasn't going to be quite up to scratch. And I mean, for me, I was sort of playing on the edge anyway, so need to be close to 100% to be able to play.
No, we're not looking at their form as something that's been horrendous. The last 2 games they've played some pretty good football, so we're preparing them at their best. But tonight, it's about this 22 and what you can do physically and with your work rate. Good luck.
Cole gobbled up by Vardy. Vardy gives it onto the running Cripps. He takes a bounce, closes to within 55, looking for a slider. He's got it. He's got it.
I reckon Melbourne have that spark has just stopped a little bit, really dug in West Coast. And Rioli pitched his pocket and rolls it home. Of course he does.
Liam Ryan saying, kick it my way, I want to jump over the pack, and here he comes! Ryan!
He's taken the mark of the year.
Liam Ryan leaps into the air, and Flying Ryan takes one of the best grabs you will ever see.
Gone, overgone. Well, the Premier is well placed. They've won 6 of their first 9. They can launch from here.
Melbourne was tough. That was a tough game, and I've said this before, winning's really hard, and we'll take what happened tonight any day of the week.
It was a grind. It was an absolute grind all day, and they're a quality team, so we expected it. But credit to us for finishing the game off strong and sort of playing it out.
We just had a good setup, and we just all worked together in the second half. So once we defended well and got our ball going, offense going, it was pretty hard to stop them.
The facts are the numbers probably don't stack up, and that's been the case for most of the year. Our supply's gone down, so we're working really hard to get that right. If we can win in the meantime, that's great.